Keepers nervous, strikers, they'll deliver. Crowd roars erupted, you can feel the quake. 80,000 voices.
The midfield of the Nigerian Super Eagles can be absolutely crazy. Crazy good, crazy scary. Absolutely scary. Now, this can only happen if 3 players are added to that midfield. Now, the first one for me is a player I've been talking about, a player I've been calling for. I've been saying he should be, included in the national team for a while now. And I've done a video reacting to some of his plays on the ball, his skill on the ball, his attributes. And he is Ebenezer Akinsanmiro, because I think he is the sort of midfield general, a kind of player that can sit deep and control play. He's currently signed to Inter Milan, but he's on loan to Sampdoria, who are in the Serie B. So very soon, once the season ends, he'll be moving back to Inter Milan. He is that kind of player that Nigeria needs. And I've said it before that he is a rare sort of talent, because usually in Nigeria, pacey wingers, a lot of them. Pacey, powerful, skillful strikers that can finish powerfully, either foot, head, great lots of them. Tall, powerful defenders, a bunch. But when it comes to that midfielder that can actually sit, help control play, help control the pace of the game, that I think was sorely lacking in the game versus Rwanda and Zimbabwe in the World Cup qualifying games, and a lot of other games previously, I think is missing. And I'm talking about Ebenezer Akinsanmiro. Ebenezer Akinsanmiro, top level player in my opinion. He is one player that can help change the dynamic of Nigeria's midfield. I said it again, in the last World Cup qualifying games, especially the last game versus Zimbabwe, you could see it, you could feel it, that the midfield lacked control. And I think he is someone, that can fit into that position perfectly, can really play well in that position. I know in the previous video I've talked about Uche Chris, but for me, I always talk about strength in depth. You don't just have one player that can do one thing and then that's the only player you have. So I think Ebenezer Akinsanmiro and Uche Chris should be in the team. But for now in this video, he is the one I'm talking about. He should be in Nigerian Super Eagles, and he would help control, the midfield, help Nigeria control games more, which I think is sorely needed. He is a top level talent, super talent in my opinion. And then the next one we're going to talk about is Uch Chris Santos. Uch Chris Santos is a dynamic box-to-box midfielder, a central midfielder. Now, he is one player I've also talked about that should be invited to Nigerian Super Eagles, and indeed, he was invited and was part of the 39-man squad, the initial 39-man squad for the World Cup qualifying games, but he was dropped, from the list. And I've already made my opinions known. The likes of Al-Hassan Yusuf have no business playing ahead of Uch Chris Santos. It just doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. I don't know if it does make sense to you. Let me know in the comments. Maybe I'm wrong, but for me, it just didn't make any sense because of what he brings to the game. He gives you pace, he gives you power, he gives you, ability on the ball, technique on the ball, and it's someone that you just can't shrug off. A powerfully built midfielder that can go both ways, defending and supporting the attack. So I think that's another player that should be in that midfield. Then last but definitely not least is Nwaneri. Nwaneri, a special player, dynamic on the ball, has an eye for goal, beautiful left foot, can score goals from distance, has an eye for a pass, a killer pass, and he has this tenacity, that a lot of skillful players like him lack, which is the ability to, to get going there for a tackle, win the ball back from opponents. That is something he has, and he does it naturally. That's the one thing you don't want to, sometimes you can, cajole a player, try to motivate a player even to get them to do certain things they don't usually love to do. So what happens sometimes when you do that is it works for the most part, but when it gets to a point where, it's now really difficult, then they shrug off from it. But he does this naturally. So in addition to his skill and ability on the ball, he's also tenacious in that tackle. He's also willing to do the dirty work, as you may call it. So for me, I think he is someone that should 100% be in the Nigerian Super Eagles team. I think if you have these three players in that midfield, certainly that midfield becomes a whole lot scarier and makes the Nigerian Super Eagles team a lot more dangerous to opposing teams. Because what will happen then is it then frees up other players to play in their rightful position. Someone like Ademola Lookman can now play as a left winger or as a wide left midfielder without any issues. So that frees him up, and then having Nwaneri playing in that 10 role behind, a Victor Osimhen, or behind Victor Osimhen and the Tolu Alokodare. And then as well, in that six role, if you have him there in the lone six, that's talking about Ebenezer Akinsanmiro, it frees up the field for people to go and do their job. And I think he can be really, really excellent in that midfield. So for me, these three players, run through them again: Ebenezer Akinsanmiro, Uche Chris Santos, and Nwaneri. So these players, I think, if they are added to Nigerian Super Eagles team, and make that team super, super scary. And I even think top level European teams, will be scared, wouldn't feel all too comfortable wanting to play against Nigerian Super Eagles. So that's my thoughts on this. Want to know what your thoughts and opinions are in the comment section? Let me know. So at this point, I've come to the end of this video, and I'll see you on yet another video. So stay well and stay blessed.